Hello guys, welcome back. So what dependency injection is? I have been using this dependency word most of the time in previous lectures, and we have also seen some of the examples of it. Remember $scope, which is getting injected in the controller? We are not creating this $scope object in our code, but AngularJS is giving it to us. The other example is a $route provider object we used for configuring our routes. And we didn't create this object as well. So dependency injection is a software design pattern that deals with how components get hold of their dependencies. With dependency injection, your dependencies are given to your object instead of your object creating or explicitly referring them. This means the dependency injector can provide different dependency based on the context of the situation. For example, in your tests, it might pass a fake version of your services API that doesn't make requests but returns static objects instead, while in production, it provides the actual services API. There are a lot of advantages of dependency injection, like your code will be more maintainable, code will be easier to test, and you can write modular and reusable code. Angular dependencies are also created by an injector object and handed over to the functions needed them. Using AngularJS, we can create our dependencies as well. Sounds interesting? Yes, there are different ways through which we can create our dependencies in Angular. We are going to use one of the methods to solve our problem of books and cart models. So we will create the first dependency which will be responsible for handling data and business logic for book view. Maybe we can call it a book service. Second dependency as a cart service, responsible for data and business logic of cart view. Then we will inject these services using injector object inside our controllers. These services will be responsible for populating and modifying data models for our views. Let's start with the first service, book service. Let's open the app.js file and write our first dependency. We have to create our dependencies in the module so that injector will be able to find it. So we can write myapp.factory to create our first service. Okay, so this function takes two parameters. The first one is the name of the dependency, and the second parameter is the factory function. This function can take other dependencies here as a parameter. We'll return an object from this factory. Let's take out the data from book list controller, create a variable in our service object, and assign this data to it. We'll create a getter function to get this data from the service, say getBooks, which will return this books variable. Great, so our first dependency is ready. Let's inject it. We can inject our own dependencies similar to how Angular inject their dependencies. So book service is a dependency for our book list controller. Let's inject it in its constructor function. The injector will create the object of book service and give it to us here. So we can call the method of this object. Let's populate our model data which we moved previously out of the controller. I have written bookservice.getBooks function here, which will return our hard-coded data of books. Now let's run the application. Here it is. Our application is running fine and we are getting the list of books rendered. But this time the data is provided to us by our service, book service. Nice. Let's move forward and create our second dependency, cart service. Open app.js file and write myapp.factory. Name the factory as cart service and add the factory function. This service will return an object too. Let's create a variable cart which will contain the books added to the cart. Okay, we will need some functions, one for getting the card and one for adding book to the card and one to buy the book. Great, so our cart service is ready. Let's use it as a dependency in cart list controller. And populate our cart model with the cart service.getCart function. We can also delegate the book buying activity from this buy function to cart service buy function by calling cart service.buy function. So the actual buying will be done by cart service. Let's run the application. Okay, so we have list of books in books view and our cart view is empty. Let's add a book to the cart. Oops, nothing is coming to the cart. What happened? Let's go back and check. When we click on add to cart button, we call add to cart function here. Okay, so our function is doing nothing. Adding the book to the cart is a responsibility of cart service object. So we need cart service object as a dependency here as well. So let's add cart service as a dependency here. So we got the dependency. Let's add call to cart service dot add to cart method with book as a parameter. Let's test the application again. So our cart view is empty. Add the book to the cart. Great! So the book has been added to the cart. Let's add one more. Good! It's also added to the cart. Okay guys, we have came long and our application is near to final milestone. Let's add some finishing touches to it using filters and animation. This is all for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.